problem solved. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I've gotten my hair back, or I've gotten my hair cut, so I look correct again. Good. Let's see. Okay, today is Thursday, it's 4 o'clock, August 2000, and, oh, your chair today, Vita, actually. Oh wait, no, your chair at the next one. So, I guess the person in the chair can be the chair. You want to be chair, people? Here, let's should I go? Whoever wins gets to be the chair. Because it's 29th, right? And we'll do it.
I know, right? This.
Yeah, I know. You and I agreed to have it.
Okay.
So, for who gets to be the chair, right? Yeah, my favorite chair.
1, 2, 3.
Haha, finish what?
We didn't. No hypothesis, right? That's a problem. We didn't have a hypothesis.
Shit, that's...
So now,
No one in the joke that will join
because they don't know. Maybe we should tell them.
because it's supposed to be next week.
So maybe we should tell. Rizal. Ian Guild. Oh, right. Oh yeah, that looks like he forgot, right? That looks like Rizal. Ian Guild. We're having a spontaneous meeting. All right, if we do have a spontaneous meeting, do we cover old business and new business? Because then there are people who really expect to cover it next month or the next thing. So I guess this is just extra credit. This is like extra credit. So we have to keep everything there, otherwise people won't know what is happening. Okay, we don't move anything. Yeah, we can't move anything. We just discuss it. Rizal, okay, sorry, he's coming. Okay. For the chair.
The loser or the winner?
The winner gets the chair.
Shit, okay.
So you want to win or you want? I don't know. We're different odds, right? Okay. The winner gets to chair. The loser gets to watch. Be a secretary.
Okay, yes, fair enough.
I don't know. Maybe this is the American way. There's more chairs. Okay, right. 1, 2, 3. You did it again!
Okay!
Same.
Alright.
Same thing again. Okay, James straight. James straight. Is that cool? Rizal, is that you?
Yes.
Is that you playing the music? Hello, Google. Hey, Google. Turn off the music. Okay, Google. Okay. Yeah, that's not Rizal. That's Google. Hi, Rizal. Welcome in. Sorry, we were a little bit uneducated. All right. Diva's chair, and let's go through old business first. Go ahead, Diva.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good evening, boys and girls.
Good evening, Diva.
Good evening. So, because of the extra credit, I'm happy to discuss everything like usual, but not removing anything from either new business or old business.
I second that.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, let's put it into vote. Who agreed to keep everything in the paper? Please raise your hand.
You should probably come over this side. You're invisible.
Who opposed? Raise your hand. Okay, none against, so motion passes.
All right.
Alright, so let's discuss the businesses first. From Instagram, because we have Hunter metrics with a theme. And we are already agreed on the lesson cup that Vita and Gandhi will have a discussion about this and what's the result of what we're discussing.
Okay, so we talked about this, and then this was about the main account of Bukit Vista Instagram, right? And then we both thought to table this until the peak season. Right?
Which is September. Alright. So in the meantime, we're just running what our current Instagram schedule.
Yeah.
Just the link is still one class per week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. All right. Moving on. Diva, HR project. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So right now, I believe. Can you also work on this project too?
Yes.
So the posting, maybe you have something to update us. It's posted, right?
Already posted.
I know. Is there any submission yet?
No.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, so there's an update on this. I spoke with Dara this morning about Panel Savita, and there is a experimental template that we have for this. So we're essentially doing Instagram ads now, and we're raising the awareness for it. So yes, there are a few variables on Instagram ads. One is the budget and the timing. The second is the timing of the launch. Hi, Cynthia, welcome in. First is the budget and okay, actually, sorry. This is budget and duration. The second is the timing. Third is the audience. The performance is the result, I guess. The content is the other variable, and then the hypothesis. So the hypothesis is currently we have 0 signups. We predict this ad campaign will give us 10 signups, and instead of getting 1% response, we'll get a 3% response. So 3% of applicants will indicate that they know about Bukit Vista through social media. We will review this on August 27th. We can pivot from any of these variables. So, for example, if we see that we didn't get large enough of an audience or enough audience engagement, maybe we need to retarget the audience. Maybe we need to reshuffle the content. But this will allow us to see the performance at each iteration. This is our first time that we're using paid ads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So this is now attached to the staycation giveaway. Okay.
Do we have a backup plan if no one's actually joining the
Next iteration. The content is the content's of 0 contestants.
But in order to like, I mean, in order to like, keep our branding, meaning we don't want to seem like we are having a contest which no one joined, right? So we have to like at least give a gimmick if there is a post to like, oh here's our winner, here's the winner from the last contest, or are we to skip it?
Well, there's thank you, Diva. I think there's actually a concurrent hypothesis here. The concurrent hypothesis is Instagram is an effective channel to get university participation, student participation. Welcome in, Alvin. Participation for contests. That itself has not been. Yeah, because the last time we had a contest, we saw and met everybody in the room. And I had given speech just moments before, and then we came up with the idea. So there was a lot of participation because they could see this is real, right? I don't know what our audience is on Instagram. I don't know if it's actually anybody that we've actually seen or physically talked to or actually understand this in a meaningful way. So I guess that is another thing that we will see.
What about the distribution through the line, I believe? Line group?
Yeah, that's already been done by Diva. That's already done by R2 as well. I don't know what the results are. But also, it could be one of the things that the procedure is not exactly easy. It's 3 steps. It's maybe like, maybe it's asking too much for the audience to do at this point. It's almost asking like your pet to do a trick, and it can't even pee correctly yet. So, what my hypothesis is that I think to get engagement, you need to have essentially a tight following of your audience, and perhaps we don't have that following yet. It maybe needs to start with surveys or whatnot, but I don't know how engaged our audience is to this type of content yet. So this is the hypothesis. I'm not even sure if we're reaching college students at all. As well.
We can look at the analytics.
Yes, we can. So we can see what this is. There's been 28 engagements on it.
Including the age range?
Yeah. Actually, take a look. Yeah. This was today. Yeah, this was taken this morning. Let's take a look at what. All right, so what Deepa and I are doing right now. Oh, we didn't get approved. Our ad. Oh well, our ad just actually. Ara told me our ad was not approved yet, so I'm not sure why, but lapsed. I don't know why actually.
So most of our audience is now basically on
25 to 34.
years old. So
And our ad is trying to reach people who are 18 to 24.
just only 50%, 13% of our audience.
I actually have a maybe I like to say this. I don't know if Instagram is actually the correct channel to advertise something like this. I think we'll go back to what we were talking about originally with Nara. I think this university relation type thing needs to be far more personal. It needs to be far more in maybe WhatsApp groups or line groups or whatever it is that people have a high amount of trust. Because Instagram is just like saying an ad on the billboard driving to school. So they could be giving away free whatever holidays to Denmark, but you probably just keep on driving through because you don't really think that is for you. But anyhow, I guess this is a hypothesis test. Yeah, currently, yeah, actually our ad didn't get approved. I'm not sure why. So the ad isn't even real.
I really, right now I'm curious to see the broadcast that you guys send to line. Do you have a record?
Ara has it.
I already sent it to Ara. Send it my book that I already shared to my timeline online. It's to Ara.
Is there any like quick links there? Like, have you seen how many people click on it?
No, not online. No.
Mm.
On the line.
Fix the that's great.
But this goes back also to another issue, Mrs. Chair, which is what's the call to action, right? The call to action is a three-step process. It's fairly long, and there's no one place you can do it. If you share it online, what you're supposed to do is go back on Instagram and then do these 3 steps. Or are you supposed to do it like?
Yeah, that's why I'm telling you. I really want to see the
No.
broadcast message.
I think that'd be good. Maybe,
That's a good
yeah. I think we can attach this. I think I'm secretary at this point. So we're actually this is good. We're actually creating more questions than we are getting
We
answers.
mentioned Ara. So that's the line broadcast message.
Okay. So let's ask
Next
our
is next.
okay, to attach the broadcast message to the line fans. And also, I think this is a matter of CTA. What is the CTA for people who are online? And do you expect them to go over to IG first and then follow the steps? I think the other question is our audience conditioned correctly? Didn't we get an email list last time when we were at UGF, right? Remember when we went around the room and we got
Yeah.
give us their email? Maybe we should use that!
But how? I
The same way that we did before. We set up this contest by emailing everybody, and we emailed everybody when the result was out.
okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the place that the submission is still Instagram.
Yeah.
I see. Oh.
Yeah. But even then, I recall, if I'm not mistaken, that the audience was not entirely well engaged on email. They only came to email on the night before we had the results, right? Remember that? The
Yeah.
hits on the Google website, remember the Google Analytics were going crazy because everybody was checking the results. So that worked. But I don't know if they would actually be anticipating this email right now and what they would actually see. My guess is that a college-age audience is probably best engaged in WhatsApp or in live first, and then followed with an event. But if you're trying to just hit them on Instagram and they don't have any connection with you on Instagram yet,
Right.
and maybe this is the point of having a dedicated Instagram channel where you have a dedicated following of people who are, yes, they are potential employees. So they will go and do this stuff. They have a relationship with you. Do you really feel like we have a relationship with anybody on Instagram?
Very few.
We don't know any of the people who like our shit. It's just a number. It's just an aggregate of 41 likes or 30. Do you see people that you regularly see like your stuff again, like the way that real social networks work, like the way that your own Instagram works? Oh yeah, thank you. Hey, thank you for voting me up again. I think that's the authenticity of a social network. It has to be very, okay, you're watching everybody who likes you and you know who they are, they have a name, you have a relationship outside of the platform. But if you don't have a relationship outside of the platform, this could go back up to social media management as well. I don't think social media is a place where you necessarily develop a relationship. I think it's where you maintain a relationship.
We're talking about Instagram.
I'm talking about maybe this. We have, okay, sorry for hijacking the conversation. Remember our avatar discussion, I think in the last, the contents of that, we were talking about what all cult brands have. And one of the components is they have a very strong following of people who are very, very dedicated to the brand's message. So, like, you don't target everybody. You target a core group of people who are very passionate about what you're doing. And then you rely on these people to then spread the message and convince their friends and followers and whatnot to endorse your brand. But I believe on Instagram, at the moment, we don't have that core audience. We don't have a core group of people who are super passionate about Bukit Vista, always like our shit, always share our shit, always like talking about how cool we are. So, we don't even know who they are, in fact. So without that, then we have, I think, this is what we're witnessing. This is just my hypothesis, but I think what we're witnessing is if you don't really have real friends, when you call a birthday party, nobody comes. You just have social media friends that sort of like your shit all the time, but they don't love anything you do. So I think maybe it's a wake-up call to re-examine what our Instagram actually does and how the audience engages on that and how we want to actually do social media management. To give you a contrast, let's say on LinkedIn every day I see the 6 people who like our stuff. They're all candidates who failed here, surprisingly. I don't know why. They keep on coming back and they like all our posts again. So, but they are regular and I can see that they are who they are. And there's some stuff there. Anyway,
Maybe we should try to email to get email.
Because we have relationships with the people that we've emailed before. They have seen us. They know what we're about. And these people are not on Instagram yet. They have not been brought over to it. I think, okay, this is just another thing I'd like to say about social media. In the Lean Startup by Eric Ries, a lot of companies get trapped with vanity metrics. We talked about this, I think, in the early days of digital marketing. Vanity metrics are metrics that don't fucking matter, right? How many followers you have doesn't matter if they don't do anything, right? You have 1 million followers and then when you post something, they don't do anything. They're just like, oh, who cares? It is much better to get 10 followers who, when you say, let's go have a bonfire, and it happens, rather than 1 million followers where you say, let's go have a bonfire, and nobody comes, right? So it's kind of like that. Social media should be actually more reactive, and if you get too caught up in thinking about vanity metrics, like I want this many followers, it could be distracting. Just think about, do you have that connection first with everybody in your thing? Are you posting something that they jive with? Are you communicating in an original way, an authentic way to them? And then just wait for the followers to grow themselves. I think that is going to be our new approach to the Instagram profile. Maybe we should start over on the main Instagram.
That's a good discussion. Let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. We about that. I think that converts to the first discussion about the individual life at PPP. So maybe we can discuss on that part regarding to our next step in our
Okay, so this one that there is double until September is only for the content metrics for the main account, but like for the new Instagram, I can actually tell you what me and Gary have talked about.
Oh, so we're going back up again.
This one table is
Okay.
the paper, sir. Can you add the paper?
Don't know what it
The
is. What's it
plus
called?
at Bukit Vista.
Oh, okay.
So the account is created already under the username of Beaver Live because originally I wanted to use the Live at Bukit Vista, but I think apparently it's too long, so Instagram doesn't allow us to use that. And Live at BV also has been taken by some product. The one that is available is Beaver Live. Uh, and then so the purpose of this Instagram is to make us a landing page for talent market, something like that. That's what Mr. Jing already said, right? So we can have a place that is dedicated for people who is actually want to apply as an employee in Bukit Vista, so they can go there as well as the website. So the content is already being put there. So far that I have in mind is that human interest pictures mean like pictures of our activities.
No.
Mhm. These are like the okay. So this is kind of like
Oh wow!
the content matrix.
Hilarious!
This is what Gadi has made.
Oh god, I look terrible. Is that what I look like in real life? All right. God damn! What's going on?
Okay, so the very first thing that will be posted will be a video of kind of like a teaser, like there's something new coming from Bukit Vista and blah blah blah. So then that will be posted on the feed of the Beaver Live account, and then also I will need help of every employees in Bukit Vista to share one post story on their IG account to share about that so that we can reach the people that is not yet following the account. So what will be in the account is already there. So it's going to be first the teaser, and then it will be I already shot as well the video of Mr. Jim saying about what Bukit Vista is, and then also the the golden circle of Bukit Vista, which is the why, how, and what, and then as well as the activities like what makes Bukit Vista is different than other institution, organization, or a company. Like activities that we have, right? Like having guilds, birthday, and working anniversary celebration, and then quiz night. The quiz night video we also had, so it could be like edited already. And then also to give highlight on benefits working in Bukit Vista, which is a testimonial from the employees in Bukit Vista. I already shot a few, and I'm going for other people as well. Also, I just had a. Yes.
That's pretty amazing. Okay. There's so many stuff there.
And then like on the next, how to engage people still following us, it could be like we share knowledge, like what we know, like for example, mass or pyramid, and then about the knowledge like that. And also I will make from the videos of the employees, I will make the articles, like short articles, and then be posted on LinkedIn and subscribing as well.
Wow, that's a great plan.
Listen for the applause.
I want to see that in execution now.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
All right.
So, maybe any comments from the crowd?
This has actually opened up a lot of ideas in my mind just by having this engagement. So I was thinking about employee engagement surveys, right? Employee satisfaction surveys. That's another source of content. Even things that everybody's filling out with their career journey path, that can also be, I think, material for quotations. I think a leader should be this, right? I think a leader should be that. There's quite a lot of internal documentation that is just trapped inside the company right now. And a lot of that, I looked at the Gojek Live thing, and I think we all agreed that was kind of boring. I mean, it's okay, but Gojek happens all inside an office. They never really thought about actually what happens with the drivers, the interaction, the engagement, the deliveries, and all those aspects too. So I think we can actually make it more pithy and far more, how would I say, far more. We're in a pretty exciting, sexy industry, right? We're in different places. We have all these beautiful buildings. We have beautiful people. We have a vast variety of culture, and it's worthwhile to harvest. So yeah, I think this is good.
Is there anyone else who wants to have a comment about this? Alvin?
I've been waiting for the result.
Okay.
Yes. Let's see the results.
Anything else? On the ground? Okay. From there, first of all, thank you for. I can see that you are putting time and really deep thought about this. Thank you for that too. Yeah, I think this is a very interesting way of planning. I would really love to see how it will be executed, but if I'm this is very inconvenient in that document again. The thing that I'm concerned is about the if you scroll up, the username itself. First of all, it's on CEO point of view, it's really weak because I say if you wanna, it's the first name, right? Yeah, the first, but let's say if you wanna investigate a company, you select type of company name in the hurdle, right? And you will type Bukit Vista, and then usually when we have a website, they will like you type your name, your own name in the Google, it will pop up your Twitter account, it will pop up your Instagram account and stuff. And this particular username doesn't even have our company name in the username. So this is my little concern about the
What I think is like, so in Instagram we have actually name and username. Right? So my plan is to have the life at Bukit Vista as the name and username Bukit Life as the name. But we actually, there is one username that is available is life at .bv, but it doesn't look like .bv.
Question. I've been noticing a shift, and maybe I'm putting this on the floor. Is it more important for SEO to point to Instagram or Instagram to point to websites now? So we're talking about search engine optimization for Google, right? But I'm wondering how many of you have done a Google search on your phone recently?
On your what?
On your phone, on a mobile device. Good. Do you do a Google? Alvin, when's the last time you did a Google search on your phone?
A lot.
Really?
This afternoon?
Really? What did you search for on your phone?
Okay. I think I'm looking for address.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. So one of my hypotheses, and I'm just trying to check, is people spend more of their time actually on social media and less of their time on websites, right? So essentially, if they spend more of their time on social media, then it matters much more that the social media directs a link to a website rather than a website directing it back to social media. Social media is kind of like where you sort of just hang out all day, and then whenever you, oh, that's interesting, let me go off the social media and check out the website. So I think everything in its proper place, but SEO in this particular thing is probably not our main way that we're going to acquire an audience. But I'm just opening that up for discussion.
We are agreeing that this will be our landing page for our future employee, right?
Right.
So this is part of their research, right? They will research us to Google,
Okay, understood.
and they will have our website, our Instagram.
Bukit Vista Life?
I mean, this is just a
It's really early in the beginning, so
yeah,
there's
I
no.
mean, it's very early, but maybe a thing for your consideration. It's still your project.
Mhm.
You guys are the project champion, but it's like an input that maybe that can help you to look at more.
A stronger foundation in the beginning.
Mm.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So, any further discussion?
Interesting discussion.
No? Okay, then maybe move on to the next item on the old business. Coming to website.
Speaking of landing pages.
Speaking of landing pages, we've covered this last week, so I believe I was updated very glad and we got to this on the last
Okay.
Oh,
Split test. Oh yeah.
So yeah, for the split test, so yeah, you suggested to do the split test on Facebook Live.
Uh-huh.
But for now, there's only 11 submissions for this event.
No.
I'm waiting for at least it reached 20. so that we can get enough sample first to do speed test on this.
Alright, so table until the 20
So
mark.
it's sufficient, yeah.
Okay, so this is not time tabling, this is an event
Yeah,
table.
yeah,
Table
for
until
for the number of samples.
data set reaches 20 submission. Okay.
Moving on to the next item, for blogs. Oh yeah, it's already done and I already published it yesterday. It's in the new business.
What's a new business? Medium? Checking it?
Only starting with but yeah, you need to have switch it to medium, link into. Sorry? And we, surprisingly, we have feedbacks. Our previous article, we have feedbacks from Twitter, actually.
What did they say on Twitter?
Your.
My article.
Oh, the article that I made for how to. I haven't forgot.
Hey, there's Diva. Diva! This is a photo.
This is the thing, the photo that you made a long
Not a
time.
photo. Should I text?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
SEO friendly.
SEO friendly, yeah, true.
Okay. Okay, so this is the Frankenstein article. This is essentially, we took the article and we respun it, and we created our own senorita mix. Okay.
Senorita, yeah.
Okay.
So people have to paraphrase and make the bullet points.
I thought Diva took credit for that one.
No! Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm evil, guys. I am that bitch.
Diva will white label all your work.
I'm evil that way. So,
Alright.
moving on to the next item, video content. I think we tabled this until September. Yeah.
Rizal, I understand that there were some videos that you took here at the Bali base last time.
Oh.
What was that about? I can't even remember now. I'm just like, you shot some video clips, right?
Video
Was it employees or?
video about your birthday, and then I took video about unboxing an album.
Yeah, unboxing the monitors, yeah.
I don't know, maybe like a Bukit Vista, etc. And also for the quiz night, I also made a video.
Okay. Is that just all stock video that you plan to use for some other
Yes,
project? Okay,
yes,
stock video.
yes.
Okay, alright. So be it, yeah.
Yes, no.
Yes, I do want to make videos now to when what people call it. I can I can edit more videos and then upload to Instagram and
Okay.
yeah, in that way.
Cool. Stock video. I think you said I wanted to stop. I heard what I wanted to do. To be honest.
Okay. Alright. And maybe if you have if you are currently making it as a stock, right? All the video.
Sorry?
Currently, you're making those footage as a stock, right?
Yes.
If you have a project or like or you already came up with the theme for your video, maybe you can put it into our new business just to let us know what have you been done, and maybe we can share our thoughts and maybe help you to finish and deliver the video.
Yes.
Okay.
I just had an idea. Okay.
Alright, yeah, we covered this to September 2, moving on to get on the next shot.
I already make the experiment.
Yay! Okay, alright. So we'll go up to that new business now. Okay, then this social baker is this table. Okay. Alright, perfect.
Evening shot.
Yes! Oh my god! That looks amazing.
Yeah, that's
That looks like fantastic. Yes.
no file shot and I edit it, but yeah, I didn't see the result yet.
Oh no? Okay.
When did you publish this?
18.
28?
Oh, sorry. I changed the hero photo at 21st, and then I will check on
28.
28.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was yesterday, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So, of course. Okay. So we're looking to beat the occupancy rate is this, and the occupancy rate is Shaisa. First hero photo is at 1.9, and the second hero is at 0. Okay. So if we do better than 0, then we're looking good. But wow, that looks amazing. That looks wow. I want to lick it. Can I lick it? Lick it. Wow, that looks amazing.
Okay, no handshake. Alright. Thank you.
That really looks amazing. That looks juicy.
Yeah, and then me and Normal has some idea that if you want to shoot the vintage property or like Joglo or like
Shoot
something
at night.
plastic, shoot at night because we want to embrace the light of the indoor, what is it?
Is that a new content best practice?
Yeah, maybe, but it's only for the vintage.
Hey, Scott's here. Hey, welcome in.
I'm
How you
early.
doing? All right. Welcome. Okay. All right. Give me a second, gentlemen. Yeah. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be right back. Okay. Scott, welcome in. Okay. I'm in a meeting right now. Yeah. Hi. Nice to meet you. Hi. Nice to meet you. Listen. Okay. Let's see. Let me bring it over to this right. Okay.
Siapa itu?
We got some infused water here.
Karena namanya udah ganti jadi Bukit Vista Live.
Live at Bukit.
Kenapa?
Live at Bukit.
Bukan,
Apaan Bukit itu?
Bukit itu identik sama daerah Bukit Peninsula.
Sama daerah selatan.
Oke.
Kayak Cok.
Iya.
Daerah Bukit Peninsula ini. Karena ada cambukannya itu Bukit.
Iya. Mungkin dan tadi sih kayak mungkin best practice buat konten suka menurut alam.
Iya.
Buat properti yang unik-unik gitu, yang punya senengannya furniture yang vintage gitu, antik misal.
Kayak lebih semarang gitu
Iya. Lebih kelihatan lebih mewah gitu loh.
Okay, I'm back. All right. So, interesting.
So we will wait until 28.
It's really good. Looks very different from it. Well, look like before and after. That's before. And that's after. It almost like lures you in, like the focal point becomes the inside. Okay. All right, cool. Okay. Oh yes, I remember this. Yeah.
So, Rizal brought this up in the content feedback. I think HR already updated the paper of Bukit Vista Radar, the brand of Radar. So, I understand you guys come up with a video there. What is the day-to-day life of our employees? And then I also look at the Cristiano Ronaldo things that you guys made in the color brand. And yeah, this is basically what I already told the content person about this, but yeah, this is like can be either reference for how you should our employee. Why do you pick Kim Kardashian?
It's the first one.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm here
Cribs.
to ask 73 questions. I'm ready.
Okay.
So instead of like it's a first person point of view, I mean like for like shooting and and let this
Hey, catch you guys home together. Is this
people
like
in the audience how their life is.
It is really relaxed.
First person point of view, asking question, and we can mix it with the randomest question, and we can mix our culture question that in the paper and in the other brand paper. Like random question can be like what's your favorite tea flavor? and then we can sleep our hotel because what do you think of leader is? That's what we can witness so that they will know us not like we choke our core value with them, but like inviting them into our daily life. And meanwhile, to win this maybe office door, because you want maybe the person that you were interviewing offer you the coffee, or just here because only maybe our own coffee with some class and so that get a pick
like a walkthrough, yeah.
like a walkthrough, yeah.
That's actually my plan. I've been asking for me and also the other hosts actually when they're actually hosting and then everything. Because the thing is like, I think I'll need to clear my calendar so that no one can be on that day so that I can go with the host. But
Yeah, and it can be different background. I mean, for content perhaps when they look like they're taking a photograph of some properties.
It gives me an idea as well, sir. Maybe we should retake your video about what Bukit Vista is by actually starting from the door as well, like these 73 questions. Right? So
Yes, I think that would be cool.
The chair and
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, come on in, I'll show you around, right? And yeah, I saw like the Vice guy do this too as well. He actually walks through like essentially like that, right? Walk through the office, show what's going on, and then tell what Vice is doing, new projects. So Uncut is actually pretty cool. The Vogue one is completely just single.
It's well rehearsed.
I guess so. It has to be, right?
But we don't have to like to do 73 questions. We can do 10.
Alright.
But I think each of the elements tell a little bit more about you and the company. I said, let me bring teachers here, and then so this girl is actually a dog lover. You know a little bit about this, and you know a little bit about our office that we're friendly.
Yeah. Russian Ark. Have you ever seen Russian Ark?
Not yet.
Russian Ark is an entire movie filmed in one take.
Like Birdman.
Was that one take?
I'm sure.
like what?
Birdman.
No, one take and a very good editing.
Yeah. So yeah, just like a one take walkthrough, and you have just it's like an opera almost, yeah. Like actors come on stage, off stage. Nobody's done that yet, except folk. Okay, but very fresh. Okay.
I'll talk a bit about this, and we can maybe make it shorter duration first and start small.
Okay.
There's one from I think it's with Neil Patrick Harris.
In what way?
Because it's
Oh, the walkthrough. Okay.
showing a lot of so maybe the question is only 10, but by doing anything else, it's actually telling more and more about the person itself, the
Concept.
company. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
And this is the Ronaldo reference, right?
So what I'm saying with the Ronaldo post, so it's like more like a post strategy. So before that, you're planning to do that for like almost our employee, right? So before the Q&A video, you post this. I say, Danny, photo here. I'm inspired by blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. And so we can say like, hey, we are asking some questions to our top content person tomorrow. What do you want to ask? So we basically provide the audience with the answer they really want to know.
And that's an engaged audience on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's an audience that.
For the month before he do interview with the mobile artist, previously he post something like, what do you want to ask me?
Cool. The reactive marketing.
And then in the future, if we already have a lot of followers, we can have like the life story and Q&A. Not like the
Ooh, that's good. I want to get a bit of the same question. All right. Cool. Good direction. We're heading somewhere. Good. Oh, this is the channel manager discussion.
Oh yeah.
Right, And this is just the experimental template that we spoke about earlier.
Oh yeah.
For Instagram ads, this is the template that we're following now to determine if we're working right.
Alright, so I think we already covered everything.
Yes, we did.
Is there any more thing we want to discuss before we close this meeting?
Oh, avatar. Can I discuss the avatar?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So hijack the mic real quick. So I started a third discussion on the avatar, which is about how do you get a cult brand. So a cult brand is essentially a brand where the followers feel so engaged with it that the brand actually takes on almost like a religious feel to it. So the best brands in the world have this. Apple, Nike, Adidas, they all have this component of cultifying their brand. People get Apple tattoos, they'll get like Nike tattoos, they'll really get involved in this brand. So what do they have in common? I did an analysis and they have this in common. They generally started with a very, very narrow audience of passionate believers. They didn't try to reach everybody because we know reaching everybody is reaching nobody. So they started with a very narrow audience. And then this narrow audience then got them to be bigger and bigger through the first-hand stories, and that's how they got the global audience. The second part is a ceremony. There needs to be ceremony and ritual that is involved in that brand so that people are actually practicing it as they engage with the brand. There needs to be like a temple or some sort of deified space where people go to essentially get the essence of the most potent exposure to the brand's philosophy. And of course, there needs to be a philosophy. What does the brand actually mean? So I analyzed a few brands here, like Nike. Their first followers were athletes. Athletes, and specifically, they were actually runners. Nike made running shoes for people who were runners. And they listened to their audience very, very carefully to get shoes that were perfect for runners. And their ceremonies were at sports games. They would go and promote different stars and track meets and whatnot. And that's where they essentially highlighted their influence. Their temple was, I guess, everywhere now, but primarily it's the Nike store, the Nike sort of centers where they sell their goods and express their philosophy. And their philosophy is very simple. It's just a bias to action. It's just do it. And then we look at Apple. Apple started with tech hobbyists, people who are working with computers, making the Apple II. So then their rituals are, I thought about the ceremony, it's the unboxing. The unboxing of an Apple product is very specific, it's very deliberate. It goes a certain way, it opens up a certain way. All Apple products have kind of a slow release like this, right? And that is a kind of really elegant and luxurious release mechanism. We look at shutters that release slowly, trash cans down here that release slowly. There's an element of ritual in just the mechanism of how that works. And they also have the Worldwide Developer Conference. They have their Apple Store, their Apple headquarters, and their philosophy is to think different. Okay, Dios, we know, audience of hipsters. They have the Sunday night party in Canggu. They have their Temple Enthusiasm. It's like their Canggu headquarters. And I think they don't have a brand that I know of, but it seems to be like customized your wild life. Right? Like you have your own sort of independent direction, customize it the way that you see fit. Okay, so then comes to us. We have three audiences: experienced travelers, entrepreneur employees, and legacy-minded investors. So we're looking to do three rituals: the check-in ritual, the all-hands workshops, these things that we do with sync ups. These are employee rituals, and also for our investors, it's like these people coming in right now. It's like the office tour. So how are we going to engage with them through that ritual? We have our two temples, the Jogja base and the Bali base, and our ideas to inspire the light. But each of these ideas is wrapped around kind of a feeling, emotion. So with Dios, I think the feeling is actually around romance. It's around this romance of independence, self-reliance, and discovery. You read their ads, and what do they say? They say, find your own way out. It's an expression of get lost and be independent and find your own way out. It's fairly interesting. It's a solo person in the midst of a wild wilderness there with his motorcycle. Dios's real business is not motorcycles. Dios's real business is clothing. They sell clothing. The guy who started Dios, he started another brand called Mambo before. He's a fashion designer. So Dios was just a vehicle, no pun intended, to actually get the clothing to move. So if you look at also their, not second pun intended. All right. So if you look at what they're really looking at, this was actually fairly interesting. In 2006, they wrote their philosophy, custom motorbikes, and a notion that doing something is more fun than owning something. Very much into the millennial zeitgeist, very much into like the modern way of thinking. I don't want to own, I prefer to experience. And then it's more than a brand, it's a culture, and there's no right way to do individualism. It's all the same juice. So that aspect and the other aspects of what they represent, I think it's a type of romance for me, as I mean maybe from a male American perspective is what they're trying to express. Apple is trying to express elegance, sleek, decisive, and sophisticated. All their design language speaks of elegance and decisiveness. There's nothing that was not considered before they put it there. Everything is decisive. Everything has been deliberate. And so their ads can be so simple because their design expresses these values just in the very nature of the shape, the colors, and the form that they use to chosen to use. I want to actually use this opportunity to express what we want to express, which I think is authenticity and inspiration. So putting together these posts on LinkedIn to express like some of our values, what we want to do. This is a cultural shot of what happens inside our offices. It's very basic, it's very 1.0, but it needs to get around these ideas, right? First Apple ads were pretty shitty. First Nike ads were pretty shitty. First Adidas ads were pretty shitty. But we got to start with the values first. And so these values have led us to actually create ideas about memes and themes. So one of the themes that we thought could be actually quite good is stop blank yourself at Bukit Vista. So you can think of things like, okay, so let's say stop stagnating, grow yourself at Bukit Vista, stop procrastinating, get shit done at Bukit Vista, stop watching YouTube, watch Masterclass at Bukit Vista, stop assuming who's down to make decisions at Bukit Vista, stop hiding, be the hero at Bukit Vista, stop the politics, be transparent at Bukit Vista. And then we can essentially issue slides or graphics or whatever as panels that then draw people in. Yeah, I agree with that idea. That's a good idea. And that's what inspired this. This was the second meme. It was a way to actually tag our employees and make them heroes. So I'm inspired by, I'm delighted by. What is it that you're inspired by, and what delights you here? And then that becomes the cover. I hope this actually becomes. Anyways, it's open for discussion right now. We've got a few minutes, so any thoughts? It was a lot, yeah.
Better to overfill than underfill.
Okay, so if there's no discussion, then that, I guess, was my monologue then. If you'd like to actually add anything on, please come to this avatar document and help us define what you think the company actually means. What is it the company stands for? What is it that we all stand for? It's a collective exercise. And I think now is a really, really good time to think about that. The HR guys and ladies are here to bring in more people. And if we don't know what we are, then of course, new people won't know what we are either, and it just gets more confusing. So yeah, that's the message. Back to the chat.
Anyone want to add something, additional comment on this? No, got no content. Cynthia, maybe have another comment on this?
Good?
Okay.
Okay, good. Everyone's stunned.
What about Alfred? My God. Okay. Thanks, though. I think it's a good start, and it's a good thing knowing that one thing led to another. We started this and how to reply to our guests. We started bigger and bigger every day. So yeah.
Just like digital marketing.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone who want to contribute can type in that document, right? Okay. So is there anything that we want to discuss? Okay. Wait. Okay.
Right, Cynthia.
Oh yeah, Cynthia.
Yeah, I'd like to add more information about the whole video project. This afternoon, I joined the hospitality field, and I think from the post itself, there's a project that wants to record of the guest satisfaction of